Hello guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and it has been quite a while. Sorry, school caught up with me, and I have been quite busy, but I am back, and I wanted to start it off with a Biden versus Trump prediction, but thinking about it, not much has changed, honestly. There's not really anything I would change, except for maybe making Wisconsin lean D instead of tilt D. That's pretty much it. So I think I am going to make my first video coming back with something that, or I'm going to make it something that has actually changed a lot, and that is the Biden versus DeSantis prediction. So what has changed? Well, DeSantis has kind of gone all in with his culture war stuff, and that's affected his campaign, and also more and more anti-Trump candidates have seemed like they're going to run. So it seems like DeSantis now has less of a chance of winning the nomination. And if he does win the nomination, it is going to be hard fought. And I think there's an increased chance of Trump running third party. So with all that being said, let's get into this prediction. So, characterization system. This shade of blue is over 15% for the Democrats, or safe blue. This is likely, or between 15 and 5%. This is lean, or between 5 and 1%. And then this is tilt, or less than 1% for the Democrats. And then for the Republicans, this is safe, or over 15% for the Republicans. This is likely, or between 15 and 5% for the Republicans. This is lean, or between 5 and 1% for the Republicans. And then this is tilt, or between or under 1% for the Republicans. So that's kind of my characterization system here. And I am going to use that when making my prediction. So I am going to start off first with Biden's safe states, or states over 15%. Hawaii, no duh, California, Washington, Oregon, which is a little bit less to the left than any of the other Pacific states, but it was likely in 2016, but unless the Democrats choose like Kamala Harris, I don't think it's going to be likely. Maryland, D.C., Biden's home state, New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Vermont, Maine's first, Illinois, and D.C. Keep on forgetting about D.C. And already, this isn't. Is this a change? Yes, I think this is a change from the previous map. Colorado, I am making it safe for Biden. It was safe for Michael Bennet and for Jared Polis, which makes me believe it'll be safe because 2022 was supposed to be a red wave year, and I think 2022 will have a more Republican-favored generic ballot than 2024. So I think, that plus Colorado shifting to the left very, very fast. And it's been shifting to the left very fast since like 2008. So I think my first change will be that Colorado is a safe state for Joe Biden. And that is it for the safe states for Biden. DeSantis, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska at large. Nebraska's third. These are pretty standard. Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi. Mississippi could be close, but nah. Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, and Missouri, which could be close to 15, kind of bordering, but I think it will be safe. Next to Biden's likely states, Virginia, no duh, it went to him by 10. Youngkin being DeSantis' VP could make it go to lean, but I don't think so. It just like Colorado, shifting to the left very fast. It's kind of in the same group as Colorado, alongside New Mexico, which I'm also going to characterize as likely. All these states are shifting to the left very fast. They have been since 2008-ish. And I think they will all go to Biden by at least a likely margin. For Colorado, a safe margin. Some more likely states for Biden: New Hampshire, it went to Maggie Hassan by 9. And that was during a I cannot talk today. That was during a supposed red wave year, where the generic ballot was favoring Republicans and where Don Boldeau had decent funding in the final few weeks of his campaign, and yet she still won by 9. I think Biden could seriously pull it out by 8-ish points. Then Maine at large, it went to Hillary by only a lean margin, but it went to Biden by likely. I think it'll stay likely. Then, kind of like the lower likely states, I believe there's only one, and that is Nebraska second. I'll get to Minnesota later. For Nebraska second, it is a very moderate district, so it could maybe go down to lean, but the more that DeSantis leans into the culture war topic, the more I think it will shift to Biden. So I think it'll be likely for now, since he seems to be leaning into it quite heavily. Then Minnesota. A common thing I'm going to say about DeSantis in this video is he does not have the same populist appeal in the Rust Belt that Trump did, because he's not a populist. That sentence probably could have been phrased better, but he isn't a populist. So he isn't going to have that same energy that Trump would have in the Rust Belt. And I think that is going to be enough to where Biden could make Minnesota likely and do quite well in the rest of the Rust Belt. So that is it with Biden's likely states. And now to DeSantis' likely states. Alaska, it has been shifting to the left quite fast. It has a Democratic congresswoman. However, it's still a Republican state. It could be under 10. Yeah, I think it'll be under 10. Maybe 8 or 9. But I still think it can't go down to lean. Not yet. I think it'll only become really, truly competitive on the presidential level by like 2032. Kansas, kind of in the same boat as Alaska. They just elected a Democratic governor, or re-elected a Democratic governor. And it is shifting to the left quite fast. Kansas's more urban or suburban areas are shifting to the left quite fast. It voted pro-choice by like 70% voted pro-choice or something like that. Something crazy. Like crazy massive. So I think it is shifting to the left, but it's still Kansas. Like, come on. It only went to Trump by something in my throat, by barely a likely margin in 2020. Even though it is shifting to the left, I can't imagine at all it going down to like lean or something. But again, I can't see it being like safe. Montana, this is largely fueled by John Tester and his Senate race. He will do quite well, and even if he loses, it'll still be quite close. So I think he would turn out a lot of Democrats who may think that, they won't have an effect since it's Montana, and it may turn them out to vote for an actual close race, like the Senate race, which could also, make them vote for president as well, which could make it go down to likely. It was only barely a safe Trump state in 2020, so I think it really could and will go down to likely in 2024 with DeSantis. Then Nebraska's first. It was likely in 2020. It's kind of got the same energy as Nebraska's second, since it's kind of in the same area, but it's like the outskirts of Omaha instead of Nebraska's second, which is right in Omaha. So I think it would probably go down to likely. South Carolina, it is very, very slowly shifting to the left, but it's still a Republican state. It did shift to the left quite hard in 2020, but it's going to be around that 14-13% range. Iowa, it's shifting to the right quite fast, kind of like New Mexico and Virginia and Colorado, but like reverse, I guess. And more and more of it is turning Republican. So I think Iowa will be likely. Ohio, how well Biden does in the presidential race could have a massive effect on the Senate race. But right now, I think Biden will lose it by about 8 to 9 points, which could be barely enough for I cannot talk. My English is terrible today. It could be enough for Brown. We'll just have to see. But yeah, I see it being around 9 to 10 points. Maine second. It's really hard to predict Maine second. Like people were really, really off predicting Maine second in 2020. It does have a Democratic congressman, but again, it is quite hard to predict. People were saying it could be lean or tilt for Biden in 2020, and it ended up being likely for Trump, which is kind of crazy. Like a prediction was that far off. But that's simply just because of how weird Maine second is. But right now, I'm just going to stick with how it went for Trump in 2020 and put it as likely because, being honest, it is weird to predict, and I am just going to go off of historical precedent. And DeSantis is kind of similar to Trump as a candidate. And now for DeSantis' final likely state, his home state of Florida. I know. People are getting their pitchforks ready. There are so many people saying it'll be safe because it went to him by 20 in the governor's race. But there are a few key things which I think will make it only be likely. Charlie Crist was a bad candidate. Charlie Crist barely had any funding. It was a midterm year. I think there'll be higher turnout. Oh, and people are less partisan in governor elections. I think there will be higher turnout. I think that turnout will be more partisan. And I think Florida will only be likely. And I think there will be more funding in Florida. I don't think the Democrats should fund Florida because at this point there's practically no chance they win it. They should put it in states they could win. But there's still going to be more funding. So I think it will be likely. Only barely, though, like 13 or 14. And that is it for the likely states. And now down to the lean states. So between 5 and 1%. So we are going to start off with Biden's lean states, which there are two. One is a change, one is not. I'm going to start with the one that is not a change. Michigan. Oh, I selected as likely. There. Um, it voted for Biden by like 2.9, I think, in 2020, which I always forget about. I keep on thinking it's like 1.5, but no, it went to Biden by like 3 points, which is kind of weird. Like I thought it would be much more. I thought it would be much closer. But yeah, it is further to the left than other Rust Belt states. It voted for Gretchen Whitmer by like 11. The Michigan GOP is just in shambles. And there's going to be a Senate race there, which the Democrats are expected to do really well in. That could have kind of a John Tester effect and make the state more further, or my English is bad, further to the left. Plus, again, I know I said this before, and I'm probably going to say it again, DeSantis is not a populist, which means he will have not terribly great appeal in Michigan. I think it could be 3 to 4, definitely better than 2020. 3 to 4, maybe likely, but probably not. Yeah. Now to Biden's second lean state, which is a change from the last prediction. The state, Biden's birth state, of Pennsylvania. It went to him by, I believe, 1.2 in 2020. I could be wrong on that. My memorization skills have gotten worse. But it voted. I know he was a bad candidate, but come on. It voted for Josh Shapiro by 14.9. Freaking Pennsylvania. Oh my God. I know that doesn't really count, but like I kind of just wanted to talk about it, honestly. It's weird. But that's just because Mastriano is a terrible candidate. But Pennsylvania is kind of in a weird spot. Like, it's a swing state, but it's still kind of slightly leaning to the left. And with DeSantis' lack of populist appeal, I see it going to Biden by over 1. That could just be me. But yeah. Because, again, DeSantis is not a populist. Biden was born in Pennsylvania. Those two things could really help him. Yeah. Next, to DeSantis' lean states, or should I say, oh yeah, lean states. I was going to say, or should I say lean state? But no, it's 2 states. I had that whole transition planned out, but that didn't really work. Our first one is not a change. North Carolina. I still see it being lean. There is a governor election in 2024 there, I believe, which I think will be tilt Democratic, but North Carolina is like Pennsylvania and Michigan. It's a swing state, but it's slightly leaning to the right. So, like, it went to Ted Budd by 3. I can't see Biden doing really well in North Carolina unless it's like an objectively bad candidate like Trump. And DeSantis could do quite well. You know, DeSantis is from the South, that he could appeal to voters there. And Biden doesn't have the best African American turnout because, you know, he's Biden. So I do see it being lean. It could go to tilt, but I don't think so. And then the second, which is a change, Texas. I think it would barely be lean. It was barely likely in 2020, but it's shifting to the left very fast. And you could say, hey, Sammy, but it voted for Greg Abbott by 11. Yeah, that's because they had Beto O'Rourke as their nominee, and Beto O'Rourke is anti-gun. And guess what state is not anti-gun? Oh, yeah, that's right, Texas. So he was kind of a bad candidate, but think about the 2018 Senate. I know Ted Cruz is a worse candidate than DeSantis, but he got it to 3 in 2018. Think about how much further the state has shifted to the left. I can't see it being tilt, not at all. I think it will be a close competitive state in like 2028, 2032, where the Democrats could actually win it. But for now, I think it'll be lean, honestly. Since Biden isn't... He's a moderate when it comes to gun regulation. And that's a big issue for Texans. So yeah, I think Texas will be lean 3 to 4 points. Yeah, and now to the tilt states. Woo. What are my transitions? Jesus. Okay. Which of so less than 1%. Our first tilt state, the least close one, Georgia. I think it could go to DeSantis by a tilt margin. My PC just made a weird noise. I'm gonna go charge it. 1 second. What was I talking about again? Oh, yes, right, Georgia. It went to Brian Kemp by like 3 or 4. Even though it's shifting to the left really fast, it still has potential for a Republican to do quite well in the state. All you have to do is just be moderate. And that is kind of slipping away from DeSantis, as, you know, him and Trump are both trying to, like, outflank each other in their primary from the right, which is not helping them in swing states. And Georgia is one of those states. I still see it being very close. And it'll only get closer the more DeSantis shifts or leans into the culture war issue he has been talking about. But for now, I still see him being barely moderate enough for him to win it. And for him to do well in the suburbs, because Brian Kemp did really well in the suburbs. And if DeSantis just shifts away from the right a little bit after he could win, if he wins the primary, after he wins the primary, if he shifts to the left just a little bit, it could really help him in the suburbs, and it could be enough for him to win. Because Georgia still can go red as long as you appeal to the suburbs. And next, the state of Nevada. I think it would go to DeSantis by a tilt margin. Because it is a Latino state. And the thing with Latinos and their voting patterns is they aren't one block. People say DeSantis is really good with Latinos, and that's kind of the case. He's really good with Cubans, but Cubans have always been conservative, and they're pretty much only in Florida. But he does kind of appeal to other Latinos, kind of. And inflation hit Nevada kind of hard, which could make it go to DeSantis. But on the other hand, Nevada is like, I see people saying it's shifting to the right, and I kind of slightly sort of agree with it. If it is, it's shifting very little. But, I mean, like, with the best possible candidate the Republicans could have had in 2022, with an R+3 national environment, they still lost by like 0.8. It'll be hard for them to win in 2024, especially since Nevada is one of the most pro-choice states and DeSantis is pro-life. But I think he could barely edge it out. Barely. With a capital B. And if he keeps leaning into the culture war stuff, I could easily see Nevada and Georgia both going to Biden. But for now, I still think it would barely go to DeSantis by a tilt margin. And now we have 2 states left, the states of Arizona and the state of Georgia. Or not Georgia, Wisconsin. My mind is being deep fried. We're going to go with Wisconsin first. Both of these states could decide the election, and I think both of these states would be the closest. But both of these states have changed the most since my previous prediction in my view, in my point of view, whatever. So Wisconsin first. I had it barely. I keep saying barely, but I don't know. I can't think of another way to describe it. Like, very barely going to DeSantis, but again, he's leaning more into the cultural stuff, which is making him, less appealing, and he's becoming less populist. Or not, he's not becoming less populist. He's never been populist, but he's not a populist. And of these 3 states, Wisconsin is like, it's very populist. And him not being one would really hurt him. So right now, I could see it, like, again, with a capital B, barely going to Biden and making him win the election. Yes, I think barely in an election between Biden and DeSantis, Biden would win. That's the biggest characterization I'm changing since my previous prediction. I do think Biden would win now against DeSantis since he's leaning more into the culture war stuff. But only barely. If DeSantis just shifts to the center just a little, just nudges, and stops trying to outflank Trump in the primary by going to the right, then he could win. He has a lot of potential as a candidate. But he's not really harnessing it right now. And that's why I think Biden would win. But we still have one more state, and that is Arizona. Arizona is an extremely moderate state, and the reason it's been going to the Democrats a lot recently, well, 1, it's shifting to the left, and 2, the Arizona GOP is extremely far to the right compared to most GOPs, which is the worst thing you can do in Arizona because it's a very moderate state. It's the state that elected John McCain, and Arizona loves John McCain, which is one of the reasons why Trump lost it. He made a comment about John McCain. But Arizona's tough. It's still close. It's not a blue state yet. But so I don't want to just give it to Biden because, like, it's not a blue state, and DeSantis is popular. So I don't want to just give most of these close states to Biden, but looking at the map right now, I could see Arizona going to Biden by a tilt margin, just because the further DeSantis shifts into the culture war issue and does all the things he's doing right now, I'm not going to comment on if they're good or not, but it's hurting him electorally, especially in the moderate state of Arizona, which means I could see Biden winning Arizona, which is my second change in the tilt states. So, this is my first ever update video, updating a prediction. Tomorrow I am going to update my Senate prediction. I have some changes for that. But yeah, that's just a theory, a film theory, and no, I'm just kidding. I don't know if anyone got that reference. Yeah. Main takeaways here. DeSantis is shifting further into the culture war. DeSantis is shifting further into the right. DeSantis is not a populist. These are all things that are hurting Ron DeSantis. Then again, Biden's approval rating is starting to stagnate instead of rising. That could hurt Biden. You never know. This prediction is very close. If DeSantis slightly shifts to the left or to the center, he could win. He could win. He could take Wisconsin, he could take Arizona, and he could win. He could be the 47th president. But right now, because of him shifting to the right, I don't think he can do it. I don't. As of right now, if he keeps doing what he's doing, it puts him in a bad position electorally. But thank you for watching me ramble for I don't know how many minutes. Thank you so much. Like, I can't thank you enough for all the success my channel's been having, even though I haven't even been uploading. But, like, 80, as I'm like looking at this right now, 86 subscribers. My most recent video has like 500 views. My most popular video has 3,000 views. Oh my god, guys, thank you so much. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, the growth on the channel has been phenomenal, and I am in genuine awe. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. And I will see you guys in another video.